Hello future doctors, my name is Yuvraj and I welcome you to Medbites. Now if you have ever looked at the brachial plexus and thought, this is impossible to remember, you are definitely not alone. It is one of the most feared topics in anatomy, but today I am going to change this. In this video, I am going to teach you how to draw the complete brachial plexus diagram step by step, explain the logic behind its formation, and discuss the most important clinical correlations that are frequently asked in the professional examinations. This video is relevant for all the medical students. By the end of this video, you will be able to draw the entire brachial plexus in just a few minutes. Before we start drawing, let's first understand what the brachial plexus actually is. The brachial plexus is a network of nerves formed by the anterior, that is ventral rami of the spinal nerves C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. Before proceeding further, let's discuss what this ventral rami or anterior rami is. If we see a spinal cord cross section, here there are two compartments. First is the compartment containing the white matter, second is the compartment containing the grey matter. If we divide the section anteriorly and posteriorly, then the anterior section is also known as the ventral section and the dorsal is the posterior section. Now, from the grey matter of the dorsal horn comes the dorsal root, which will further form the dorsal root ganglion. From the anterior horn comes the ventral root. Now, the dorsal root and the ventral root will combine and they will form two rami, the dorsal ramus and the ventral ramus. The brachial plexus is formed by the ventral ramus. Its main function, that is the function of the plexus, is to provide motor and sensory innervations to the entire upper limb. Remember this sequence throughout the diagram: root, trunk, division, cord and branches. Everything in the brachial plexus follows this order. Now comes the most important part of this video, the part in which we are going to draw the brachial plexus. Start by drawing 5 parallel vertical lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Label them C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. Remember the exception I was talking about. In some cases, the branch, the ventral rami of the C4 is also used to form the brachial plexus. In this condition, the rami of the T1 is used negligibly. Similarly, if the T2 rami is used, then the C5 rami is used negligibly. These 5 spinal nerve roots are the foundation of the brachial plexus. Without these roots, the entire brachial plexus cannot be formed. Now for the trunk, we just need to connect the roots. Join C5 and C6 to form the upper trunk. The C7 will continue to form the middle trunk and C8 and T1 will join to form the lower trunk. So now we have 3 trunks: upper, middle and lower. A simple way to remember them is 2 plus 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Each trunk divides into 2 parts, one anterior, another posterior. Since there are 3 trunks, there will be 3 anterior divisions and 3 posterior divisions. These divisions are extremely important. The anterior division generally supplies to the flexor compartment, whereas the posterior division generally supplies to the extensor compartment. Redrawing the divisions, we will have 3 anterior divisions, one from the upper, one from the middle, and one from the lower trunk. Similarly, we will have 3 posterior divisions, one from the upper, one from the middle, and one from the lower trunk. After the divisions, let's make the chords. The chords are named accordingly to the relationship with the second part of the axillary artery. If we consider this as the second part of the axillary artery, then the lateral cord will be formed by the anterior divisions of the upper and medial trunk. This one is the lateral cord. Similarly, the medial cord will be formed by the anterior division of the lower trunk. This one. And the posterior cord will be formed by all the 3 posterior divisions. This one. This is lateral, this is medial, and this is posterior. And this over here is the second part of the axillary artery. This is the second part of axillary artery. This looks easy, doesn't it? That was just the basics. You have to reach here. Don't be scared, it's easy. For us to reach the final diagram, we first have to know the branches. Let's start with the branches that arise from the roots. We have 5 roots: C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. The first branch which we are going to study is the dorsal scapular nerve. It will arise from the C5 root. The name is dorsal scapular nerve. Now, the second one will come from the T1 root. Its name is the first intercostal nerve. The first intercostal nerve. The third and the final, which arises mainly from the roots, is the long thoracic nerve. The long thoracic nerve. This long thoracic nerve have the root values C5, C6 and C7. What do we mean by that? That this nerve arises from all the 3, C5, C6 and C7, give rise to the long thoracic nerve. Let's make it again. 5 horizontal lines: C5, C6, C7, C8, T1, 3 branches, one from C5, one from T1 and one which will get its extensions from C5, C6 and C7. From C5 we have the dorsal scapular nerve. From T1 we have the first intercostal nerve, and from C5, C6 and C7 we have the long thoracic nerve. These are the nerves branches which arise from the roots. For the branches which arise from the trunk, we have 3 trunks: upper, middle and lower. Upper trunk is also known as the superior trunk. Then we have the middle trunk. Then we have the lower trunk, which is also known as the inferior trunk. Now, there are only 2 branches that arise from the trunk, and both of them arrive from the upper trunk or the superior trunk, and both of the branches give nerve supply to the muscles. We have 2 branches. The first nerve supplies to the suprascapularis muscle. suprascapular nerve which supplies to the suprascapularis muscle, and the other branch which supplies to the subclavius muscle. Subclavian nerve which supplies to the subclavius muscle. Okay, there are no branches from the middle or the lower trunk. Similarly, there are no branches which arrive from the divisions. Well, for the cords, it's a nightmare. But let's make it a sweet dream for you, shall we? We have three cords: lateral, posterior, and medial. This is the lateral cord. This is the posterior cord. And this is the medial cord. Now the AL part is important. All the three cords will terminalized into branches. The lateral cord will give musculocutaneous nerve. Musculocutaneous nerve. The posterior part or the posterior cord will give two branches, two terminal branches. One will be the axillary nerve. Axillary. Now the other one will be the radial nerve. Radial nerve. Similarly, the medial cord will terminalize into the ulnar nerve. Ulnar nerve. That was the first part. Now, the smaller branches. From the lateral cord, we will have the lateral pectoral nerve. The lateral pectoral nerve. If we have the lateral pectoral nerve, that means we will always also have the medial pectoral nerve. So, from the medial cord, we will have the medial pectoral nerve. In addition to this, the lateral and the medial cords will give rise to medial part of the median nerve and lateral part of the median nerve, and this will join to form the median nerve. M-E-D-I-A-N, median nerve. Here is an A-N, here is an A-L. I hope you know what is medial and median. This branch is the lateral branch. Which one? This is the lateral branch of the medial nerve, and this is the medial branch of the medial nerve. Finally, the posterior cord gives rise to three more branches. These are lower subscapular nerve, lower subscapular, upper subscapular, upper subscapular, and thoracodorsal. Thoracodorsal. These are the branches from the cords. The only one which I have not shown in this one is the medial branch and the lateral branch of the medial nerve. Rewatch this part because it is a bit confusing. Now let's make the whole brachial plexus in quick succession. C5, C6, C7, C8, T1. C5, C6 form the upper trunk, C7 middle trunk, C8 and T1 lower trunk. Anterior division, posterior division. Anterior division of upper and middle trunk will form lateral cord, posterior divisions will be forming the posterior cord, and the anterior division of the lower trunk will form the lateral cord. For the branches, terminal branch, one terminal branch from the lateral cord, two terminal branches from the posterior cord, and one terminal branch from the medial cord. This is the musculocutaneous, this is the axillary, this is the radial nerve, this is the ulnar nerve. Other branches, one from lateral, one from medial, will form the median nerve. Sub branches, C5 one branch, C5, C6 and C7 one branch, T1 one branch, two branches from the upper trunk, one branch from the lateral cord, three branches from the medial cord, three branches from the posterior cord. This one is the dorsal subscapular nerve. This is the long thoracic. This is the first intercostal nerve. This is the subscapular nerve. This is the nerve supplying to the This is the nerve supplying to the suprascapularis muscle. This is the nerve supplying to the subclavius muscle. This is the lateral pectoral nerve. One here is the medial pectoral nerve. This is the cutaneous nerve, medial cutaneous nerve supplying to the forearm. This is the medial cutaneous nerve supplying the arm. This is the upper subscapular nerve. This is the lower subscapular nerve, and this one is the thoracodorsal nerve. This much was the brachial plexus. Simple, isn't it? Now make it yourself. Now that we have understood the anatomy of the brachial plexus, let's discuss its clinical anatomy. The brachial plexus is responsible for the motor and sensory innervations of the entire upper limb. Therefore, injury to any part of the plexus can produce characteristic patterns of muscle weaknesses, paralysis, sensory loss, and deformities. By identifying these patterns, we can localize the site of lesion. The second lesion is of the lower trunk. The lower trunk, formed by C8 and T1 roots, may be injured by sudden upward traction on the arm. Causes can be pulling on an abducted arm, difficult breech delivery, grabbing a branch during a fall. Nerve affected are mainly the ulnar nerve and the part of the median nerve. Clinical features are paralysis to the intrinsic hand muscles, loss of the fine finger movement, claw hand deformity, and weak grip strength. This is the claw hand deformity. The fourth one is the axillary nerve injury. You know the axillary nerve. It is a terminal branch of the posterior cord. In this condition, the deltoid paralysis occurs and the person cannot abduct the arm from 15 degrees to 90 degrees. Next we have the radial nerve injury. Radial nerve is also a terminal branch of the posterior cord. Sensation lost over dorsal hand, dorsum of the hand. This is the classic symptom. It is also known as wrist drop, because in this condition the person cannot support its own wrist. I hope you are more than capable of making the brachial plexus now. and hope you will be able to write the answer, which will be mostly a short answer type question on the brachial plexus in your university examination. Thank you for watching the video.